ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So today we're gonna cover the next part, or part 2 of Qadar. If you remember last week we talked about the Qadar. What does it really mean by believing in the Qadar, right? Believing in the divine decree. There are 4 components, right? Correct or not? We talked about last week. There are 4 components. So we covered the first 2 components last week. What was the first 2 components? Can someone tell me? The first one is Allah's foreknowledge is complete, right? It's part of the questions just now. The second component was not tested. So what is the second component? That Allah has recorded everything in the preserved tablet, the Lawhul Mahfuz, right? Right, so let's have a quick recap. So the first one, Allah's knowledge is complete. He knows everything before even it has been created. Agree? Right? He doesn't know, he doesn't just, like our knowledge, we only know something after it happened. No, his knowledge is complete. It's eternal. He knows everything. Way before it has created. Right? Then the second component is, after that, he recorded everything. He recorded. Remember we talked about the first thing that Allah has created is the pen. Right? And then he asked the pen to write everything. So the pen asked, what should I write? He said, write everything until the end. So he writes everything. The pen writes everything. Right? So today we're going to cover the next 2. All right? So the objectives of this lesson is to learn the second 2 components that belief in divine decree entails, which is number 1, everything happens by the will of Allah and His ability is perfect. And that Allah is the one who created everything. So that's the third one. The third and the fourth one. The second objective is to clarify and dispel the confusion regarding the questions of freedom of will. So last week, we talked about this. So if everything is already recorded, then where is our freedom of will? So today, we're going to discuss about it. All right, so let's start with the third components. Allah's will passes and His ability is perfect. Whatever Allah wills comes to pass, and whatever Allah does not will does not happen. Nothing occurs in the heavens or on the earth without the will of Allah. Hence, whatever is in the universe occurs by the will of Allah, be it a divine act or actions of the creation. Allah's mentioned in the Quran, Surah number 6, Surah Al-An'am, verse 149, had He so will, He would indeed have guided you all. It means what? So whatever He has will, it will definitely happen. So Allah reminds us in this verse that whatever He wills will definitely happen. Okay? Whatever He does not will, it will not happen. It will never, never happen. Will means what? It means like He allowed it. Whatever He allowed it to happen, it will definitely happen. Whatever He does not allow to happen, it will definitely not happen. So if we were to say that something occurs in existence without Allah's willing it, that would mean that things can occur without the will of Allah. And that would be a shortcoming in Allah's power and will. So yes, because Allah's will again is perfect. Right? The Prophet ﷺ said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no absolute will or absolute power except the will of Allah, except the power of Allah. So Allah's will is absolute. Whenever He will, it will definitely happen. Rather, everything that occurs can only be if Allah wills it. If He did not will it occur, it could have never come into being. Likewise, the actions of the creation occur by the will of Allah. This is mentioned in Surah Takwil, Surah number 81, verse 29. And you do not will except Allah's will, Lord of the worlds. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Okay? So Allah, He said, we don't will except the will of Allah. Okay? So I see some confusion already. So how does our choice of freedom has to do with will? So that is not the will. We only choose. Right? We'll talk about that in the last chapter of this lesson. Right? So Allah wills everything. No one can do anything except if Allah wills it to be. Had He willed that they do not take place, they would not have occurred. So, quick recap on component number 3, right? It means whatever Allah said will, allowed it to happen, it will definitely happen. So first, again, Allah's foreknowledge is complete. And then after that, He recorded everything. And then He willed it to happen. Okay, so right now we have covered 3 components. It starts with foreknowledge. His knowledge is complete. He knows what you will choose before we were even created. He knows. And then He write it down, whatever we want to choose. For example, we choose to come to this class today. It has been willed way before we were created. Already know, Allah already know. And Allah already recorded that we will come to this class today, on this day, in Malaysia. Everything already written down. And then He willed it to happen. And that's why it happened. Okay? Now, the last component of believing in the Qadar is Allah, after that, He created everything. He created our action. He created, we attended the class. Okay? Allah says in Surah Al-Furqan, Surah number 25, ayat number 2, He has created everything and has measured it exactly according to its own measurement. For it is He who creates everything and determines its nature in accordance with His own design. So Allah, He created every single thing. This includes our characteristics and our deeds. Okay? It includes our deeds, includes our characteristics, includes our action, everything. The human beings are created by Allah, and so are the actions and statements that result from them. So if we are created by Allah, then our actions is also created by Allah. This is because the actions and the statements of a person are his characteristics. If the person is a creation, then so are his characteristics, the creations of Allah. And Allah confirmed in Surah 37, Surah As-Saffat, verse 96. While Allah has created you and what you do. So Allah tells us, He has created you and He has created what you do. All of our actions is created by Allah. We are given the physical ability and a choice. Our abilities, like intelligence and memory, differ just like our characteristics, like height, weight, and color. Also, we are given a will and have a choice. If one of them does not exist, the act would not be performed. The one who has created the choice and the ability is Allah, the creator of the cause and the effect. Since Allah has created both the ability and the choice in us, hence the acts and that we perform are also created by Allah. So, whatever He has recorded in the preserved tablet, and He allowed it to happen, He will make it happen. Okay? So like us coming to this class, He is the one who created our actions to come to the class. Based on what? Based on our choice. We choose to come to the class. Today you wake up, you choose to come to the class, right? Anyone force you to come to the class? No. So you make a choice. You say, I want to come to the class. So based on our choice, He has recorded. And then He willed it to happen. And then He created the actions. And hence it happened. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Anyone confused? Yes. Correct. Why did he what? Created it. Okay.
For instance, this is the second group that is going to go to hell.
Correct.
And God already knew that.
Yes.
Why did He create this universe? If you already knew what's going to happen in the end.
Okay. So there are two aspects to this question. So first is, why, if he already know, why he created all these things? This is when, remember lesson number 1, we talk about when the Prophet ﷺ said, when the qadar is mentioned, we take silence. This is something that we don't ask, because we will never understand this part of the wisdom of Allah. Why did he do that? So what we believe as a Muslims is, we know he did this, there must be a wisdom behind it. Okay? The second aspect is, so why still created all these human beings before he already know, before he created us, he already know who will go to paradise and go to hellfire, right? So imagine if you are being thrown to paradise and someone is being thrown to hellfire without creating this action, right? What will you do if you are the one ended in hellfire? You would challenge Allah, right? You'd be like, hey, why put me here? Why put me and burn in hellfire? And this is why he created us, so that we will be held responsible for our actions. So if he already know, he said, oh, I already know, no need to waste of time, I just throw them into hellfire and throw this to paradise. Then the people of paradise, they will not be happy. They will challenge. They will say, hey, why am I here? Why God, why you throw me here? Then the paradise people were definitely happy, right? They're happy. So to create us is so that we will be held accountable for what we have done. Yeah. Although you already know. This is actually for us. Does it make sense? No? So again, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4. First, he knows everything. He knows what you would choose. And then he allowed our choice to happen. He recorded it down. Then he willed it, and then he created our actions. So today, someone will say, hey, I have done something bad. But it's already decreed way before I'm created. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's already decreed way before you are created. But Allah knows you will do this. That's why he allowed you to do this. But why allow me to do bad things? This is only Allah knows. Only Allah knows. Right? We wouldn't understand. Yeah. Why he would allow someone to kill another person, for example. We would not understand. But we know he allows it, but doesn't mean he approves it. Because in the Quran, anyone have a Quran today? You can open. This is not in the lesson. Is in Surah number 39, Az-Zumar, in verse number 7. Allah clearly mentioned. He said, if you choose to disbelieve, he has no need of it. And he said, I do not approve your disbelief. You see? Even though he knows you choose to disbelieve. So if Allah allowed someone to disbelieve, meaning to become a non-Muslim, meaning to allow someone to worship other than him, he mentioned clearly, I don't approve it. I don't approve it. See, just because he allowed it, it doesn't mean he approved it. So there's something that beyond our imagination, that only he knows what is the wisdom, why he would allow something bad to happen. Right? We wouldn't know. We wouldn't know. All we know is he allowed it to happen. Many years ago, a colleague of mine, he came and he asked me, he's a non-Muslim. He said, it is not fair. You see, like for example, why choose Muhammad to be the prophet? Of course, when he become prophet, he will definitely go to paradise. It's not fair. Why not choose me? Right? He said, if you choose me, then I go to paradise. I told him, it doesn't work that way. Because all these people are chosen, you see these 25 prophets are mentioned in the Quran. They are chosen by merit. By merit. Allah knows they are good people. Allah knows they are the righteous people before they were even created. Because of what? Component number one, Allah's foreknowledge is complete. He knows these people are chosen by merit. I told him, if you are a good person, you would have been chosen. If we are righteous people, we have been chosen. But we are not. And this is why they are chosen, not us. It's not like Allah choose them, hence they go to paradise. No. You see, like imagine yourself, you are the captain, if you have played basketball before, you would choose your team, right? Okay, I'm the captain, I choose. How do you choose? You choose by merit. This guy is better, play basketball, this guy is not so good. You're chosen by merit. Same thing, Allah. The only difference is Allah's knowledge is perfect. He knows before you play basketball, He knows already whether you are good playing basketball or not. Nah, that's the difference. See, people are chosen by merit. Mary, the mother of Jesus, chosen to be the best woman Allah has ever created. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned to us, Allah has created 4 best women on earth, ever. These are the top 4 women. And Maryam is one of them. And not only that, Maryam is the best of the 4. Why? Again, based on merit. How many women can bear the pain to deliver a child as a virgin? Maryam. I see. Allah knows she could do it. And Allah knows she will be the best. And that's why she's chosen. Right? So again, why when you become Muslims, thank Allah that He willed it to happen. Right? Even though you choose to become Muslim, right? Yes, you choose. Allah knows you choose, but He allowed you. You see? That's the beauty. He allowed you. He willed it to happen. He willed it to happen. And He's the most merciful. He's the most loving God. He allowed us to worship Him, and then as a consequence of that, He will reward us. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, right? A boss today come to you. I tell you, this is the answer for the work. Just copy, just do it. And then after that, he tell the boss, oh, he has done a good job. Give him a big bonus. Can you imagine a boss like that? He helped you to do the work, and then He gives all the credit to you. He reward you also. Allah is more merciful than that, right? More loving than that. He allowed us to worship Him. He tell us how. He tell us the formula to go to paradise. He tell us, this is the formula. You do it, He reward you with paradise. Allahu Akbar. Thank Allah. And this is why I mentioned this last week, that the people who are thrown into hellfire is recorded in the Quran. When they were thrown into hellfire, the guardian angels that guard the hellfire would ask them, what makes you end up here? None of them would blame Allah. They would not say, oh, Allah is the one decree, He decree everything already, that's why I'm here. No, none of them. None of them blame Allah. All of them blame themselves. They would say, we are the one who refuse to establish our prayer. We are the one who refuse to feed the poor people. Yeah, they are the one who blame themselves. Why? Again, it is a reminder that the freedom of choice is there. We choose to what we choose our actions. Not a lot, but we choose. Definitely we choose. And then He created our actions. Okay? Moving on. So now let's talk about the last chapter, which is the human freedom of will. Islamic belief in the divine decree, the qadar. Every human act, both in material and the spiritual life, is predestined. Keeps human liberty intact without denying divine interference in human affairs. It does not undermine the principles of man's moral freedom and responsibility. Man is not a helpless creature born along by destiny. It is incorrect to believe the action of fate is blind, arbitrary, and relentless. All is known, but freedom is also granted. So yes, we talk about this. We are given the freedom of choice. Not to everything, but to limited things, right? And the things that we are given the freedom of choice will be questioned on the day of judgment. Right? You will not be questioned. Why are you born as a Chinese? You will not be questioned. Why are you born as a Malay? You will not be born. You will not be asked. Right? Because these are not freedom of choice. But things that you are given the freedom of choice, like how you spend your time, how you spend your money. You were given money. Allah is the one who gives you money. How do you spend? He gives you rizq. Your health, when you're healthy, how? How did you spend your health? What did you use it for? You will be asked. Every one of us will be asked. Our free time, especially, right? What do you do during free time? What do you do? You will be asked. You see, time is more valuable than money, right? This is something that is, we as a human being, we don't know the reality of life, right? We always take freedom or free time as take it for granted, right? We don't do something beneficial. So all this will be, you will be asked. Man is responsible for his acts. Lethargic nations and individuals indifferent to ordinary affairs of life are to blame themselves, not Allah. Man is bound to obey the moral law, and he will receive merited punishment or reward as he violates or observes the law. However, if such is so, man must have it in his power to break or keep the law. Allah would not hold us responsible for something unless we were capable of doing it. Exactly. Right? I just mentioned it. Allah will not hold us accountable for things that we don't choose to do. We are not capable to do. Right? And Allah mentioned it in the Quran. This is in Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah number 2, in the last ayat, 286. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa us'aha. Allah says, Allah does not burden any human being with more than he is well able to bear. Never. Right? And this is why whatever Allah asks us to do, the 5 pillars of Islam, for example, the 5 pillars of Islam. Anyone has memorized the 5 pillars of Islam? The first one is what? Shahada. Anyone on earth cannot do it. Right? Number 2, praying. Who cannot do it? 5 times a day. Who cannot do it? He didn't ask us to pray 500 times a day. Only 5 times. Even the 5 times, if you have done it, right, consistently, you will realize the 5 times prayer combined will not take more than half an hour. Combined will not even take more than half an hour. And Allah gives you 24 hours. And you cannot fulfill that. What else? After that, pay the zakah. 2.5% of your annual savings. And the annual savings must be more than 85 gram of pure gold, which is about ringgit, is about what, 14,000. 14,000. Anything less than that, you don't even have to pay the zakah. It's not compulsory. You don't have to do it. Minimum, if you have 14,000 a year, you pay 2.5%. 2.5. What is 2.5? Can someone do? Who is good at math? 2.5% is 2.5% of 15,000, for example, is how much? How much? 400 ringgit maybe. That's it. Yeah. Out of 15,000, what is that? Do you know of any income tax that low? Nothing. So zakah, anyone can pay. Then fasting in the month of Ramadan, only 1 month. 12 months in a year, only 1 month. And it's not like the whole day, only from dawn to sunset. That's all. Not difficult to do. The last one, perform Hajj. Even then, the Hajj has condition. Only if you can afford. 2 things. Number 1, you must have the money. Number 2, you must have the health. If you don't fulfill these 2 conditions, you don't even have to do. It's not compulsory. Subhanallah. 5 pillars of Islam. What's so difficult? And people say Islam is difficult. What's so difficult? Right? So you will not be held accountable. Right? And the Prophet ﷺ told us that the first thing everyone will be asked on the day of judgment is what? Salah. Okay. Salah. That's it. The first thing you'll be asked is salah. And the Prophet continued, if your salah is perfect, meaning the 5 times prayer, right? You've done it perfectly, like you consistently do it, everything else after that will be easy. Meaning, after that, how do you spend your money, all these other things will be easy. Allah will just overlook it. If you have some shortcoming, Allah will just overlook it. It's easy. Everyone knows, then the second ayat in Surah Al-Taqabun, Surah 60, number 64 and ayat 16, Fattakullahu mastata'tum. Allah says, so keep your duty to Allah and fear Him as much as you can. Right, let's clarify a little bit. This ayat is about something which is not wajib. If it's compulsory, you have to do it. But something, if it's not wajib, for example, you want to give charity, sadaqah. Beside the zakat, on top of zakat, you want to give a little bit more. This is when you say, Fattakullah mastata'tum. Do as much as you can. There are people who find giving easier, then do more charity. There are people who find prayer is easier, then do more optional prayers. Because beside the 5 prayers, there are optional prayers. There are people who find fasting is easier for them, then you can do optional fasting. Right? So I always say, let's see what you are good at. Right? There are people say, tahan makan ni saya tak boleh lah. Meaning like, fasting is not easy for me. Then it's okay. Then you do more charity. Oh, I'm a bit stingy. I only want to give 2.5% only. I don't want to give more. Then do prayer more. Do whatever, right? Whatever you can, right? Everyone knows the difference between being compelled to do something and being free. Having the choice of doing it, between a gun put to one's head and being free in making decision. Yes, so everyone knows. I don't have to clarify this. You know what is freedom of choice and what is being forced, right? And if you are truly being forced, Allah will not hold you into accountable. Even if you have a gun pointing at your head and say, you must say you don't believe in Allah. You must renounce your religion. You can do that. You can say, I'm not a Muslim. Even though your heart's still a Muslim. Allah will not hold you into accountable. Okay? Some people mistakenly imagine the divine decree of each individual's future life is so rigorously predetermined in all its details by Allah, and his own violations or desire have no power to alter the course of events. It defeats common sense to reject faith or commit a sin even before knowing whether or not it was destined. Everyone has the ability to choose between righteousness and evil. So how can a person willfully choose the road to perdition and use the divine decree as an excuse? Yes, we talked about this last week, right? How can you do something bad and then you say this is decree by Allah, right? We talked about one incident. One of the thief was caught in the time of Umar al-Khattab as a Khalifa and brought to Umar and said, hey, he said, you cannot chop off my hand because Allah has decreed me, already qadar by Allah that I stole, so you cannot chop off my hand. And Umar said what? What did Umar say? He said, it is also decree of Allah, I will chop off your hand. Yeah. So let's end this with the saying of the Prophet ﷺ. He said, seek what is beneficial to you and ask Allah for help. Do not lose hope. And if something will afflict you, do not say, if I had done so and so. Because saying if opens the door of evil. Right? So this reminds us to not to dwell into regret, I should have done this, I should have done that. That doesn't mean you should not done a post-mortem or lessons learned. You should always say, yes, in the future, I should do this, I should do that. But don't dwell on the past and say, oh, I should have done that. There are people like that, right? The Prophet ﷺ said, if he is from the successful ones, then the deeds of the successful ones are made easy for him. This is recorded in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. Okay, so yes, so if you are the successful one, Allah will make your path to paradise easy. So continue to do good things. I mentioned this last week. Believe in Qadar doesn't mean you don't do anything. You know, everything is already written down. I don't do everything. I just sit down and wait for the rizqi to come down. No, it doesn't mean that. Even if I tell you this is what it means, you will say, this is nonsense, right? It doesn't make sense, right? So believing in Qadar means you believe in the 4 components, right? Very quickly we said, you believe that Allah's knowledge is complete. He knows what we have chosen. And then He write it down on the preserved tablet. And then He will it to happen. And then the last, He created our action, right? And then it means you have to continue, we have to continue to do good. Try our level best to be righteous. Try our level best, as much as possible, right? Stay away from the bad deeds and do whatever Allah has commanded us to do. Okay, I've already crossed 12. Maybe one question. Any questions from the floor? Just one question. If no question, from the boys, brothers, sisters, from the staircase? Yes, brother, last question.
My question is that are Muslims allowed to marry Christians? That's the first part. And then if they are allowed to marry each other, Muslims and Christians, then what does Islam tell us about Christians and Jews? Will they like eventually go to heaven or hell?
Okay, very good question. So the brother is asking, which is not about this topic, he's asking, is the Muslim allowed to marry the Christians? Okay, his question is about Christians. Well, it is stated in the Quran that the Muslim men are allowed to marry the people of the book. The people of the book, the scholar says the people of the book means the Christians and the Jews, right? So today, there are some difference in opinions whether we can do that or not, right? Because they don't differ the opinion in terms of marrying the people of the book. They differ the opinion in terms of who are still classified as the people of the book. So this is one, right? So if those who say the people of the book are Christians and Jews, which is also the Christians and the Jews today, then yes, they are allowed to marry them. Only the man, okay, not the woman. The woman, the Muslims woman do not allowed to marry the Christians man, right? But those who say, no, the people of the book or the Christians and the Jews are not the same at those days, then they are not allowed, okay? Then they are not allowed. So these are two different opinions. Whether we can do it today or not, I don't know, Allahu Alam, okay? Depends how you see it, what is the people of the book. So what is the wisdom behind it? So that the man can guide the wife so that they can become Muslims. So when they are in the household, it's easy to guide them and they become Muslims eventually. Because why? Allah mentioned in the Quran, the people of the books are the closest to the Muslims, all right? So the second question is, will they eventually go to paradise? No, that's very clear. They will go to, if anyone die beside being a Muslim, then the eternal destination after that is hellfire. Okay? So why do you marry a people of hellfire, right? So basically that's what you're asking. No, again, the wisdom is so that the man can guide them to become Muslims. Allahu Alam. Okay, so I'm going to end. I already given a time's up. Subhanakallah wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.